So I feel like it's a good way. It is past 2:30, so we're gonna get started. I think we might have a few people trickling in. Today's session is about on-campus involvement, and we have a few familiar faces, as well as a few new faces here today to talk about their experiences with on-campus involvement. I am gonna ask the four guests to introduce yourselves. So if you could share with us what RSOs you are involved with currently, what RSOs you are no longer involved with, or maybe you considered getting involved with if you weren't previous part of any other ones, and if you are involved with any other communities outside of campus. So I also asked. Oh, okay. Oh, I guess just kidding. I already asked them for this. So you can read this on the slide, which I forgot. I think you're okay, but I'm gonna try to adjust this light to see if it helps. Or maybe you won't. Okay, whatever. I'll advance the slides for the four guests. We'll start with Allison. Since you can read, we won't have them verbalized, the things that are on the slide, but if you'd like to share anything else about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Allison. I was a direct admit last year, so I know what it's like to be in your shoes right now. I'm originally from Chicago, so I came all the way here to Seattle to be in info, which is cool. And yeah, so with Winfo, I'm currently the director of public relations, and I was a first-year representative last year, so I kind of immediately got involved, which really helped kind of form a community as a freshman, especially since the majority of your cohort are juniors and seniors. Really helped. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I'm a drama minor, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks. All right, we'll go to Harky.
I'm Harky, or at least that's what everyone calls me. I am also a direct admit from last year, like Allison was. And I'm also in Winfo, but I'm the creative director. And I have also been on the board of Save UW. It's a service club, a religious service club. Last year I was the freshman rep, and this year I am the marketing coordinator. And I'm also a member of Husky Tennis Club.
Cool.
I
love it.
Last year.
I love that y'all are involved with info-related things, but also non-info-related things. I dig it.
I'm Simran. I'm currently involved with Society of Women Engineers, and I've been part of it since freshman year, dog days, day one, which is a little different from info, but it's nice because it's a women in tech community. And outside of that, I was actively involved with this organization called FIUTS, which is Foundation of International Understanding Through Students, which focuses on building relations between international students and domestic students. I was involved with it till last year, and I was the vice president of their student org, but then that was something which I was I need to move on from. And I was also involved with a few volunteering clubs, Time to Invent, which I used to go to high schools, and we used to do STEM projects with middle school girls.
How does Society of Women Engineers differ from WINFO in your opinion?
Society of Women Engineers is a national organization. So it's been there for more than 50 or 60 years. So they have national conferences. And this is UW is one of the biggest chapters in all of West Coast, I think. And, we have almost 500 members.
Oh wow.
So you get the perks of being a collegiate section, but also national member benefits. There's a lot more connection in the industry. So I think the size, Winfo is still a little more smaller.
Yeah, so it's different. It's not that one is better, but if you're looking for perhaps a more intimate community, Winfo might be a more intimate community. And SWE, Society of Women Engineers, was a larger community of women engineers outside of informatics as well. So as you know, I used to work as a career advisor at the high school. So I get I get a lot of questions and concerns from employers. And for many employers nowadays, having more diversity in their workplaces are a priority, unsurprisingly. And many employers who are not that familiar with the iSchool would ask, hey, can you connect me with your school's chapter of SWEET? Because everyone knows SWEET, right? Because it's such a sizable national industry professional association. And then so I say, sure, I can connect you to SWEET. I'll also connect you to WINFO, right? Because WINFO is a Women in Informatics, a smaller group that they may not have heard of, but is a very great avenue for them to reach the target population that they have in mind as well. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that.
Hello again. My name is Alejandro, and I am the president of the Informatics Undergraduate Association. I am also part of a multicultural fraternity called the Mega Delta Phi, Service Social Fraternity. And aside from RSOs, that's about it, but I work a lot on campus. I'm a student ambassador for multicultural outreach and recruitment, so I travel around Eastern Washington with a focus on the Latino population for low-income students of color, and help them apply to the UW, FAFSA, WASPA, whatever they need. So I personally mentor 6 students every year. And aside from that, I also volunteer the majority of my time with the College Assistant Migrant Program. And then I also have been an orientation leader in the past. And I work a lot with, I used to, not as much anymore, but I used to volunteer a lot with the career services as well. And yeah, you kind of see me all over campus. I wear a lot of different hats, so yeah.
Great, thank you, Alejandro. You're looking exceptionally sharp today.
Thank you. Packer was here.
What is Packer?
Packer is, well, they're a company that focuses on like diesel engines for anything commercial size. And they were having a data analyst position open. And so I went in to interview.
You dressed to impress?
Just to impress, always.
Nice. So Packer is an employer.
Yes.
Employers come on campus sometimes because they are interested in iSchool students. There are a lot of employees that come on campus generally, I would say, at UW. And then there are some that come for extra attention with high school students because they like really want high school students. Packer was one of them. Could I trouble you to close the door for us? Thank you. So I think part of the perks of being a student in informatics is that you are a part of an intimate community, but you have access to many of the larger resources that are available to you at the University of Washington. So you might have heard that there are a few career fairs going on this month. As a freshman, I wouldn't fret about those career fairs. You could go if you want to, but you should not feel pressured to get an internship or a job at that career fair. If you decide to go, I think it's a great way for you to practice without that much pressure. If you're a senior or junior, you are going with a lot of pressure. So if you want to go, it's great, practice, but don't take it with the pressure.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Me and Harky went to Grace Hopper, which is a women in tech convention last week. And so I'm a sophomore and I went up to a bunch of companies and I introduced myself and they were like, what year are you? And I was like, oh, I'm a sophomore. I'm looking for an internship over the summer. And they were like, oh, like we're only looking for juniors who are looking for internships so it can lead to part-time. So even as a sophomore, you're not gonna find a lot of opportunities. But it was really great exposure to going to a career fair. I'd never gone to one. And so now I practice to go to the iSchool career fair. So like, do not feel like you even need an internship until like sophomore or junior year.
Yeah. Because
I just heard a lot of freshmen like trying to get internships. So I felt pressure to do it, but not necessary at all.
Yeah.
Like,
and you said you introduced yourself as a sophomore because it's your second year at the University of Washington.
yes.
But by academic standing, you might even be more than that, right?
Yeah.
But to an employer, they don't care.
Yeah.
I know all of you are coming in with a lot of AP or IB credits. To an employer, they don't care. What they care about is how close are you to graduation, AKA how close are you to being available full-time? That's what they care about. So I saw in some of your comments or your reflections about like how you're, your first year, but you're actually technically like a junior standing. Yeah, I get it, right? But to an employer, they don't care. To an employer, they will care, when are you expected to graduate, right? So if you're expected to graduate 2020, you can say you're a final year student. That's what they're looking for. So do not tell them, oh, well, I'm a first year, but technically I'm a junior. It will just confuse them, right? Anyway, thank you for your contributions to the questions and assignments. Like last time, I just crowdsourced all of them, anonymous all of them, and then grouped them. And like last time, there were a lot of patterns. So we'll start with the questions that centered around motivation. These are questions that the students submitted of what they would like to know. If the panelists could answer maybe one of these questions on the page, whichever question you like the most. Just one question. We would love to hear your perspectives. And in the meantime, while they're reading the questions, if anyone in the audience has a question based on the commentary that we've already started the class with, you're welcome to holler or let me know. Oh, yay, question.
How do you join WINFO or the Women Engineering Club?
Do you want to talk about? Yeah, do you want to?
Well, WINFO is just show up to our events, get involved. If you want to be an officer, then applications go out in this winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, winter.
And you guys all can apply to be
Yeah.
Officers. We have a bunch of openings.
But if you just want to get involved with WINFO in general, then you can just show up to our events. We'll join our Facebook page. We always post everything on Facebook, to be honest.
So the way to hear about WINFO events is to join the Facebook page.
Yeah, or follow Instagram or just any social media.
Or come up to us.
Yeah,
friendly
exactly.
faces.
That's also better.
You can ask us.
We know about all the events too, so you can come up to either one of us. And you don't have to be a woman if we accept all genders. So yeah.
And this week I added their email addresses. If you like follow-up information from any of the panelists, you're welcome to email any of these folks. I'm sorry I didn't ask you for permission. I just assumed that you
I think with the Society of Women Engineers, since we're we're part of a national organization, you're required to be a national member too, which comes with a fee. So I think it's you sign up for this year, you sign up for all of your college years, but they also extend that membership to when you enter your professional life, because SWE doesn't end as college ends. It's something that goes on with you as you make your career ahead. So that's one requirement, and that's the only requirement. If you're a national SWE member, you're there's a closed Facebook group, and then we have different kinds of events that you can attend to.
Are you ready to answer one of the questions in the slide?
Oh, sure, yeah. So for the second one, it wasn't an RSL, it was a job. So actually, I'm quitting today. Yeah, so, so I work at the ECC as a student resource coordinator.
What is the ECC?
The Ethnic Cultural Center. So it's by Lander and Maple. And I work there as a student resource coordinator, and I have to do 19 hours a week. And right away from the second week of this quarter, I was already behind. As I mentioned in the last class, I struggle a lot with depression and anxiety, and my anxiety started coming up, and I started having breakdowns right away. And then I couldn't go to my classes because I was mentally unstable, and it was just too much. And so I took the time and I sat down with one of my mentors, and I wrote everything I'm doing on the board, and I wrote down what's most important to me, and then what's taking up the most time. And it's something that I love working there, and I love working with the students there and everything, but I have to prioritize myself and my mental health, and I'm a student first, and so it's important to realize those things, and especially because it's early on, I was able to do this. So actually after this class, I'm going to quit. So
don't tell anyone at the ECC yet.
Tomorrow you chill.
Embargoed.
Yeah, tomorrow you can go gossip about it. But yeah, so that's actually something that I have to do. and it sucks, but I have to do it for myself. So.
Yeah. It sounds like you were very aware of your limitations
Mhm.
and you knew that you had to prioritize,
Yeah.
right? Something had to go
Yes.
and you didn't want your mental health to be what had to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's great.
Correct.
I think that's a really great sign of maturity and something that I hope that all of you can get better at during your time at the University of Washington, not just succeeding academically or professionally, but also like understanding your strengths and your limitations and knowing how to prioritize in the midst of limited time and limited capacity. And Alejandra, I really appreciate you sharing honestly and vulnerably about your situation, because next week's section, it's great foreshadowing, is about mental health and wellness and how we can prepare ourselves and also support our friends and our community and our housemates or roommates, because it's a very real issue. I don't know, does anyone know what yesterday was?
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
World Mental Health Day, 10/10 apparently. I just found out through Twitter. But anyway, so mental health is, I don't know how like verbal or explicit that topic has been to you in previous communities or contexts you've been a part of, but at the iSchool, we talk about it a lot. And we talk about it a lot because it should not have a stigma around those two words, right? So whether you are affected by it right now or you will be affected by it in the future, I hope not, but you might be, right? Or your friends or your family right now or later. The stats, the data doesn't lie, right? So that's why we want to prepare you and talk about it proactively. So we'll cover that more extensively next week.
Just learn how to say no. That's the best thing. Because you'd rather hear no and yes later than yes and
I have a story similar to Alejandro's, but I think I'm going to answer a different question. I think I'll also answer the third question, what are the 7 years become part of your RSO? You have to, I think for me, it was like, what do I like to do?
Mm.
You know, like, I joined tennis club because I've been playing tennis most of my life, you know. I joined WinFo because I'm in informatics and I want to be involved, and WinFo creates like a great like officer, you know, corps and stuff like that, and like we got to go to race hockey together, and that was great. And so you get like all these sort of opportunities that you like, not only like you're doing what you love, but it's also like you're actually doing it with the people who also love it, and that makes it better. And it's like even what I do like outside of school, I actually teach music to kids. They're really young, so they don't have an attention span. But I mean, it's still like performing music is something that I've been doing for most of my life, and so now that I get the opportunity to teach it, it's also like, okay, now I can pass my knowledge to the next generation. So I mean, it's just all about like what drives me is like, what do you love to do? It's like, don't join soccer club if you play baseball. Like, no, that's just, I mean, obviously that's like a little bit like they're too far, but like you get the point. So it's like just what drives you is like, what do you like to do, and do you want to continue doing that?
I think I'm going to talk about the first one. So, but like not focused to RSOs, but like something outside of class that you could do. I think one of like my best experiences at UW has been like being involved with research.
With research.
Yeah, with research projects, because there's a lot of research happening at UW, and it's just like I never like in classes you do understand like what is your technical capabilities or like applications of stuff, but like how does it like really work with the real world, or like how can you make your contribution? Like I was always curious about that, and honestly I didn't know what research was before I came to like UW. Like I knew what it was, but like I've never done it before in school. So I think at the beginning of my sophomore year, I was like, I really have to get a research position. Like I really want to work with a research project. I don't care if I'm getting paid or if I'm getting credit. I just like, I have to be involved. And like, that was my like one goal. I wasn't even in informatics at that time. But I was just like, that's the one thing that I had heard people talk about it, and that's what excited me. And I think I started it like in the beginning of like autumn quarter. I started sending out like there's like a undergraduate research program database of like people who just like post research projects but then forget to remove it. So it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of postings.
You can Google undergraduate research database, University of
Yeah.
Washington, something of that. So if you can't find it, you can email. someone else
Yeah.
and send you the link.
There's also like an office in MGH at the basement, like not the basement, like
The ground level.
yeah,
whatever, the
I think
lowest
it's like
floor.
170 or something. And they have like info sessions too. So I started emailing people in the beginning of fall, and I wrote like at least 200 emails before I got like one reply back. And that's how I started getting involved with research. And I think it's something which everybody should at least try out. Like I know not everybody loves it, but it's like a very unique opportunity that I think UW provides. There's a lot of research that happens at high school. You just really need to like nag professors to like let you in because technically, like as undergrads, we have very less experience with our coursework. But even if someone like just gives you a small opportunity, I would highly recommend giving it a shot.
Can I add to what you said? I really like what you said of everyone should try research. Not everyone might like it, but everyone should try it. I think that's really fantastic. And if I were to reframe that, can I get a show of hands of how many of you want to get a job one day? Okay. How many of you want to get an internship sometime in the next few years? What do you think employers are looking for when you want to get an internship? Experience, right? Internships. Isn't that so annoying? That's so annoying. To get an internship, people are expecting prior internship experience or prior experience, right? It's like the chicken and the egg problem, right? And I know a lot of you in the first class mentioned, like, how can I get an internship as a first year, right? How can I stand out at career fairs? How can I beat the competition who are like 2 or 3 years more experienced than I am? So one of the best ways to get an internship is to show how your prior experience prepared you for that internship or for that opportunity. Some of that can be shown through your coursework. Some of that can be shown through your personal projects. Some of it through your on-campus involvement. Some of it through academic research. All those options are available for anyone to take on, right? But you do need to seek those out yourself. I know right now all you think about is internship, but to get an internship, they're looking for past experience. These are the sub-bullets to get an internship, right? So you could do personal projects on your own if you have the fundamentals already to do that. But right now, as someone that's just starting out informatics, you probably don't have that much prior knowledge to be able to contribute to a personal project yourself. So you partner with other people who have some of the skills you don't have, right? Partnering with other people like people with PhDs who know their stuff, right? And the really nice thing about academic research at UW is there's so much research happening. Tier 1 research institution, kind of a big deal, right? And most professors, most PhD students, most research labs have some level of funding or space to involve students in research, right? Some will proactively advertise these opportunities. Some you will have to seek them out. You will have to initiate that, right? So like if you're interested in iSchool, if there's a professor at the iSchool or lab research at the iSchool that you think is really fascinating, data lab, right? Or like kids team.
Yeah, I'm in that.
Right? There's a lot of really cool research pockets or groups. If any of those fascinate you, I would write to the people that are involved on that website and say, hi, my name is X. I'm a pretty new info student, but I'm really fascinated by X, Y, and Z. Could I pop by your office hours sometime to talk about ways that I could potentially get involved with your research? The answer might be no, but at least try it.
Also, something else worth mentioning is that the professors you already have, especially like say like Info 200 or any future info classes you've taken, or actually for any class you've taken, you can just go up to them and be like, hey, and just ask them about the research. You just not like, And that's actually how I got involved.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my previous professors actually have them again this quarter. So yeah.
Asking the other person to talk about their research is a great tactic.
And the thing is, professors, I don't know if you like learned this by now, but professors love to talk about themselves.
Can I broaden that?
So,
It's not just professors.
yeah.
It's everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone
But
loves
in the
talking about
context of, like,
themselves.
research,
Professors love talking about themselves and their research.
Yeah.
Employers love talking about themselves and their work. Info students love talking about info, right? It's so there's one word in career services that most students despise. It starts with the letter N. Networking. Most students hate that word. Is that funny? Sorry.
That's just loud. I was wondering what was funny.
Networking.
Before she's like, I'm not gonna dig into that, but I saw what happened. Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about it afterwards if you want to. So a lot of students think that the N word, networking, has a really negative connotation to it. And I think a lot of it is because people think that it's about asking for favors, right? It's about like getting the side door or the back door, right? But if you think about networking in terms of building relationships with people, a really effective way to build relationships with people is to ask them to talk about what they care about, right? So what Harky said of inviting professors to talk about themselves, that's how you get them to connect with you, right? Get them to like you. It often works. Yeah.
I have a question about the research. Is it worth like emailing professors back if they don't respond to you? Like, is it worth the time?
It does. I think the way that I think it works is like if you're regular. My problem why I was like I don't know what I want to do in researching because there's so much opportunity. I also thought that I was completely wrong, but I thought if I wanted to do research at the high school, I had to be like an informatics student. So I didn't even try it at the high school. So I was like trying Foster, health sciences and anything that used data. I was like, oh, I have some data analysis skills that I can use. But if you're really passionate about one project, I would definitely recommend emailing them again and again. And also if they're teaching a class, trying to see if you can take that class sometime next quarter or something. Just trying to get yourself familiarized with the professor.
Yeah. We'll also have a session I think in November that focuses a little more on things like research. So we might have a chance to talk more about that. For the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next group of questions. There were a lot of questions submitted by the audience about balance. Like how many RSOs should you join? How do you manage your time when you're doing student leadership? How hard is it to get involved and hold a position? Allison, if you have a strong opinion about any of these questions, we'd love to hear from you.
I'd say I'll answer the first one because it's just a very interesting question. I got involved with WinFo right away, and I wasn't expecting to at all. I went into college, I was like, oh, I'm only gonna worry about adjustment, that's all I need to worry about, just class and stuff. I've heard college is really hard, and then a senior reached out to me and said you should be a first year rep. I was like, okay, I guess I'll apply. And then I got it, and I thought, okay, that's the only thing I need to join. That's gonna be way too much on my plate. I'm not gonna be able to do anything. I'm not gonna have a social life. I'm not gonna be able to yeah, whatever. So I did that for first quarter, and then I realized that I actually had a lot more time on my hands than I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons and how important an RSO is to you, and WinFo was really important to me, but also I wanted to carry on something other than info, and I love drama, so I decided to audition for a bunch of plays, and I ended up getting cast in a play, which was amazing. But that was a huge time commitment. That was 3 hours a day for 4 days a week, whereas WinFo was 1 hour a week. So really, And I thought like, oh, I have to pile on all these RSOs right now so I can like build up my resume and show that, look at everything that I'm involved with. And, you know, everyone's talking about how they're involved with like 5, 6, 7 RSOs. And I currently have only been involved with 2 majorly, but I'm able to talk about them and show them how much time and effort I put into those 2 RSOs, even though I've only been here for a year. And I'm still involved with those 2 heavily. I decided to become an officer with WinFo, which also took a lot more time. That's more of like a 6 to 7 hour time commitment at least. It's kind of like having another job. And then I decided to add on to be a TA once I knew that I was more comfortable within informatics, because like being a freshman as a direct is like really intimidating, because we only had 13 people. The year before us, it was only like 6 people. So you're a really small group, and
Yeah, you guys are a big cohort.
yeah, you guys have a lot of people. Like, it's just really intimidating to go into spaces where it's a lot of upperclassmen and they seem like they know like every term there is to know in info. Like, I didn't know what a dev was. I had no idea what that meant. I was like, oh yeah, I want to be a dev. And I'm like, no, I do not want to be a dev. Like, no. And then alongside with WinFo, I was able to talk to different professors about research because they were so interested in what we were doing with WinFo. I was able to go to Grace Hopper and miss a week of class, which took a toll on my academic career, honestly, but it was worth it because it would better my career in general. So it really just depends on, like, you have to test the waters at first because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. It's not worth it. Especially you should balance the types of classes that you're taking. So you shouldn't take all STEM classes. That just isn't smart. You shouldn't be taking 142 and like databases and like just all coding or all design or all of that, because you're just gonna overwork yourself, and then you're not even going to be able to participate in any of these RSOs. And you want to be able to, you know, form a community. And that was how I was able to. I remember at the end of last year, we came back together as direct admits, and we talked to the dean, and like he was asking us how our time was, and everyone kept on commenting like, I wish I was as involved with you or as involved as you were, Alice. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. But so many people think that they can't get involved right away, but you can. And there's still time. Like, don't think that it's just because it's the end of the 3rd week that you can't get involved with stuff. There's so much to get involved with. It's really overwhelming, honestly. At least like go to some people's events, like go to WinFo's events, and then next year apply to be an officer, apply to be an officer to IUGA. Just test the waters and see what community you like.
DEPTH, DEPTH, is more important and often more valued by employers, depth, than breadth. So if you had to choose between being very involved with 1 or 2 organizations versus being surface level involved with 5, most employers would prefer the depth. Okay, I'm gonna move on because we are running short on time. Leadership questions. Would love to hear from maybe Alejandro, that side of the table, on any of these questions. I think, or anybody, I would love to hear, what skills did being a student leader help you develop? Anybody? Because those are the questions that like your mom's asking. Those are the questions that employers are asking.
I'd say at first confidence. Yeah.
I would definitely agree with that. I'd also agree that it builds skills that are necessary in life, like organizational skills and time management skills, because it's also like, it's important to figure out what you can take on and what you can't, because knowing myself, I take on a lot and I'm still taking on more. And it's just all about trying to find the time and find the balance for your classes and then your research and then your clubs and then everything else that you do in your job and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. Also, like meeting new people and getting to know people better, that's also another one.
I'd say like one of the big things is like learning how to be lenient but stern at the same time, because Like at first when I became president, people were like, what do we do? And I was like, I don't know. And like, they all looking at me and I was like, shit, like this is, okay, I'm supposed to figure this out. So I was like, trying to like differentiate. So like when people, like, I don't know, like me personally, like I'm very like empathetic. So like I just realized that one of my officers hasn't been around lately, hasn't really responded lately. So instead of being like, yo, like where you at, or like what are you doing or anything, like I hit her up and was just like, is everything okay? Like, is there anything you want me to do? Like, just finding a line because you are responsible, like, of the other chairs as well. So, but not everything's not on you because you're the leader. Like, that's something very important as well. Like, not everything falls on you. It's like a very team, and it's a team thing you gotta do, and making sure you're delegating, but not putting too much on your other chairman, and making sure that you're there to help them when you can if they have any questions. A lot of it is just like management and just learning how like every individual works differently and adjusting to that individual and how to like help them out, and then how to bring everyone together. It's very different because when you're a member, you focus on one task or a task that you're doing with somebody else, and that's it. And then when you're a leader, you focus. You have to be like tap your toe in like a little bit of all the projects and make sure everything's running to plan. And then also there's somebody on top of me, so like making sure that we can do these things, we have these rooms, or like if this is their vision, and if not, trying to like change things, or yeah. So it's a lot of delegating between what you can do and what's possible, and then working in a time frame. So I don't know. I just kind of spat out a lot of words.
I heard delegation, empathy, interpersonal skills, confidence, organizational skills. Super awesome skills, super marketable skills to an employer. I keep saying employer a lot just because I know you all care about it. I apologize if you don't care about it and it's being like kind of obnoxious. But to an employer, they're not just looking for someone who is technically sound. They expect technical foundations, but ultimately employers are looking for people who can do the job.
And do it well.
Do it well, and are fun to work with.
Yeah.
Actually, so me, like I'm not very technically savvy. Like I can code and stuff, but I'm not the best at it. Like you're to ask me a question, like I won't do it. Like it's not possible. But I've been told like I'm very charismatic, and so I use that to my advantage, and I just talk to the employers like it's nothing. And at the very end, usually I end up getting like an interview, and not because I'm technically savvy, but just because I'm somebody that they want to work with in the long run.
Yep.
And that's beneficial too, because a lot of people in tech can't talk.
Yes.
That's a really big thing.
I hear that about CSC grads.
Yeah, that's even more.
I hear that from employers.
That's
I'm
even
not
more.
trying to badmouth anybody here.
No, yeah.
I hear that from employers.
Yeah, these are facts, just think facts. But yeah, so I use that as my advantage because I love talking, like I can talk all day. And so I just use that to my advantage, and a lot of times that's what sticks out versus anything else, and that's what gets me interviews. So use what you got to your advantage, and then, but also be aware of what you're not too good at, and try to improve on it as well.
Yeah. So Alejandro would probably not be very happy as like a software engineer that just codes and stares at the computer all day. I don't think that maximizes all of Alejandro's strengths. But yeah, a role like a PM, a product manager, a program manager, a project manager, where it involves deep awareness of your team, knowing how to manage interpersonal dynamics, have empathy, I think that's much more aligned, right? And employers will recognize that, right? So he's not saying fake it. He's not saying your charisma will get you the job that you're not qualified for, right? But he's saying use the strengths that you have and let that contribute to your job search and your internship search. And employers who understand how to recognize your strengths will see that. We have so many questions that I have to move on. There were also questions about social and career. Like, have you developed lasting friendships? Or like, what kind of social events does Info RSOs hold?
Can I say something real quick about the first one, just real quick, and then yeah. So like, all like to be honest, like everyone from like the last course I graduated, I was like, oh, like when I was at graduation, that was so sweet. But also keep in mind that the information school is very small. Like you will come across everybody multiple times, and like maintain your friendships very well because you never know when you're gonna go to apply for a job and one day maybe you didn't do anything in your group project and then they're sitting on the hiring board. Like it's a very small world. So maintain your friendships really well because you never know when they're on the other side interviewing you. And if they know how you were in the past, I mean, yeah, like just
Yeah, that is very true. So like, for example, like if any of you one day apply for a job at Carrot and I have a positive impression of you, I will do everything I can to advocate for your application. And vice versa. Some other question from any of the other panelists? Maybe one other panelist can speak to any of the questions on the slide.
You want to talk about Winfo?
Yeah. Winfo's super fun.
Yes, it is.
I'm a very energetic person, so during meetings I kind of like find the fun in it because like it's kind of boring just like going through events and like doing stuff like that. I believe that by joining Winfo, I actually like, created that community and it was just really nice. And IUGA does a lot of social events. The first event I ever went to as a freshman was the Oasis kind of like bubble tea one. And like no one showed up, but I was there and I was like, having fun.
There's boba, so
Yeah.
obviously it was fun.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then we all got the chance to go to Florida together, which was so fun to Grace Hopper. So, and then also we as officers try to have a lot of like bonding experiences. So like when we were all elected, we all like rented this Airbnb and like it was super fun. I would also say like try to form friendships within your direct admit cohort. We actually still have a group chat going on.
Yeah.
So like it's just really fun and like you guys should really value each other right now because only 20 people understands like what you guys are going through. Not a lot of people kind of underestimate you guys. I've gotten a lot of comments from other info students saying like, oh, you didn't apply to info, like how are you here? Like
What? You applied? You just
I mean,
applied earlier than everyone else.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, so you guys understand like what you're going through. So I would just say have fun with yourselves. I don't know if that was a good answer, but
That's good. Okay, I have one last slide of some closing questions. These are pretty epic, like culminating. Are you serious? You want me to think of a response to this question right now? Kind of questions. I think these are the last questions that I've put on this slide, and we have about 5 minutes left of the class. So maybe each of the panelists can pick one question on the slide to answer, and whoever is ready can speak. In the meantime, while you're thinking, I'll just do a quick feeler to see if there are any questions in the audience that you might want us to answer in the next 5 minutes that we have together. No questions. Great.
I'd say for advice on being an active club member, I would say follow-up emails are really nice. Whenever we get those from club members, we kind of know that you're really interested in what we're doing. Also, just like keep up to date with social media. That's our biggest way of kind of connecting with everyone.
Yeah.
And just show that you want to be involved. Like we can definitely tell when people only go to our events to go to company tours versus if they actually want to get to know us and therefore we want to get to know you guys. Yeah.
Cool. I think to add on to that, it's like when you go to an event, try like, this might sound weird, but like try making friends because I know like if I want to go to an event and I don't know anybody else going, I would be like less motivated to go. So but if you know like someone else is going, you're always like, yeah, okay, we can go and like figure out what the event is. And also being like regular to going to events, because that's how you actually meet people.
Yep.
And like get to understand what the community is like, and if you like it or if you don't like it. So
Let's go to this event and be awkward together.
Yeah.
I love doing that.
It'll make a memory too.
Yeah. So as you might have inferred by my obnoxiously bright shirt today, I have a pretty strong affiliation to the university that I graduated from, and I'm pretty involved with the alumni associations in whatever city I've lived in. So the University of Michigan has a pretty strong presence in Seattle. There's a lot of people who work at the companies here in Seattle, and they host a lot of events, but most of these events are way too large and I don't know anybody. So I usually, when I get the mass email, I forward it to like a few of my friends, like, hey, Shannon, hey, Janet, anyone want to go to this happy hour with me? Because I don't want to endure the awkwardness by myself, but I still want to go. Right? And if I can find someone to go with me, then I'll go. If I can't, then I just won't go. That's fine. Thank you, Samantha.
I'll try to answer the third question. I think we've already like sort of iterated this before. Personally, obviously, it gives you a lot of skills that we mentioned. It helps you connect with people professionally. Like Allison said, we went to Grace Hopper, and we because we were officers and the high school sponsored us to go, and so we were able to watch all these cool talks and get to know a lot of like the new technology that women are coming up with, and also like she talked about the career fair as well. Like, guys, the career fair was huge. I mean huge. Like,
No, it's like, oh my god.
it's like probably the size of this building. I don't even know. Probably bigger. I don't know. But like, there's like hundreds and hundreds of employers. Like, you need
And
to
like good employers.
Yeah.
Like Google,
yeah, like
Apple,
all the big
Microsoft,
companies are
like-
there. Even like companies you've never even heard of were there too. Like,
Yeah,
It is-
all of the ones that are just trying to get you a job.
yeah.
basically.
And so I mean, like actually, like helping be an officer, like that helps you with like career stuff as well.
Mhm.
So, in that sense, and also like what Naomi said about like networking, that's actually pretty important. And it's like as freshmen, like that's what I actually went to like 2 career fairs as a freshman, but I didn't go to it because I was like, oh, I would need an internship. I went to it for the purpose of what it's like to talk to employers and stuff like that. So.
We can talk about.
You don't have to answer it, Alejandro. I can end the class early.
Oh, yeah,
They would love you for that.
yeah, there you are.
Um, I want to remind you of a few things. So speaking of career fairs, there are a few career fairs next week. I will be there at a few of them. So if you see me and you want someone less awkward to talk to, I'm happy to talk to you. If you want me to pretend like I don't know you, I'm happy to pretend like I don't know you. If any of you are aspiring to be software engineers, next Wednesday, 12:30, some software engineers from my company are going to do a technical interviewing workshop where we share our tips and tricks and some free practice case interview platforms. So that's Wednesday, 12:30 at the Hub, 214, I think. And then there's a career fair on Wednesday and Thursday that our company, my company Carrot, will be at. Questions, as usual, are welcomed through email or Calendly or Canvas. And I just want to share something. So when I was working at the iSchool, I did a lot of workshops. And my favorite workshop by far that I got to deliver was a topic I created called Mingling for Introverts. And I called it that to directly try to ease the discomfort of networking for people who identify as introverts, right? And these are some snippets from that workshop that I just put in here. If you want to listen to the recording, that's if you go to that link, you'll find a link to the 60-minute workshop that I did. I want to point out specifically these 2 slides because there were some questions that I received for this class that asked things like, how hard is it to manage your time as a student officer and an info student? Or like, how hard is it to get an internship as a, right? And like, I like hearing those honest questions, but I also have just part of me like cringed at the word choice of hard, right? And I cringed because I think generally most human beings do not want to intentionally go through hard things, right? generally all of us want like a smooth sailing, decently easy and simple life. But reality is all of us will face hard things, whether it's right now or in the future or in the past, right? And I think the best thing we could do is to develop resilience and grit and perspective to go through hard things rather than try to avoid the hard things. Because no one can avoid the hard things, right? So you might have heard some of those terms before in other educational settings. I think it's extremely important. I emphasize it a lot to students I coach as a career advisor. I emphasize it a lot to little kids that I babysit. I emphasize it a lot to myself, right? All of us are going to go through hard things. So I just want to remind you, when we go through hard times, that developing this grit is a combination of talent and effort over time. We all have different talents. We often cannot choose those talents, but we do have choice on how much effort we can put in to persevere through these challenges. And some challenges we face, I think, are desirable difficulties that allow us to deliberately practice areas that we are not yet strong in. If you like what I'm saying, Angela Duckworth wrote a great book, psychologist at UPenn, called Grit. I love her research. It's an academically sound book, which is why I like it. Anyway, it's just reminding you, life is about trade-offs. Make smart choices. And if you don't make good ones, it's okay. You can make better ones the day after. Canvas assignments, as usual, are in the system, so you guys can submit it then. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.